Greetings and salutations, brownies. Welcome to another episode of A Plethora Full of Blah. I'm Jazz.
I'm Dan.
And we are coming off two separate but interesting vacations. So we figured we'd talk about our vacation recap. We're going to get into something a little deep and then something not too deep. So let's start off with our weekend recaps. Dan?
So, over the past 2 weeks, I've done a lot of traveling. I actually did the math. I have driven approximately 2,200 miles in the past 2 weeks.
Interesting.
So I did 800 over to Michigan for the amazing music and arts festival, Electric Forest. Highly recommend anyone and everyone to go to it. It's a fantastic place full of happiness and love and connection and music and
tree hugging.
Yes, and it's just a wonderful experience. I highly recommend anybody go. So the bigger conversation about festivals for me is that we all go for our favorite artists in music. However, I go to Forest for the people. That's where I find the best people consistently.
And hugging.
Yes, and a lot of hugging. A lot of hugging. A lot of happiness.
Oh, Jesus.
So I went to Forest. Forest was absolutely amazing. I've got 1,001 stories that I'm sure as we talk about both of our fine vacations, we'll have to ping back and forth. But after Forest, my family takes us on a vacation to Virginia Beach every year, and then once the festival's over, I got the vacation for the rest of the week. So it was a very, very nice, fun time for me. Jazz?
I was at VidCon, and that was a time. VidCon as a whole was amazing. I got to meet all my favorite creators. I call Boogie2988 my friend now. Not only is he just a really sweet guy, he has essentially helped my YouTube career immensely by giving me a shout out, which I didn't ask for. He did it on his own. He was super kind about it, and he still continues to support me and, be there.
Let's not stroke our egos too hard, Jazz.
What?
Let's not stroke our egos too hard, Jazz.
For who? In what way?
Just joking.
Oh, I was about to say he did it. I didn't do anything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But what else happened? Y'all know about the hotel situation with the Marriott. I made a video on that. I'll leave a card up here so you can see that. That was like the only terrible part of my vacation. Again, a lot of stories, a lot of awesomeness. Oh, and quick side note, I'm not going to get into this too much because it's been covered at every angle possible, but I did go to CannaCon for like a matter of a few minutes, and it was essentially one of the biggest shit shows I've ever seen.
As expected, no convention goes well when you fuel it by pure hatred.
That's the only thing I'm going to say about it. I think whether you yell at her or you yell at her manager, whatever the fuck his name is, everybody was wrong. Everybody did something wrong. No one was right. But at the same time, she did it out of revenge. And nothing good comes from revenge. Nothing positive, at least. But I know she's learned her lesson. I know she's extremely sorry. And I know like almost all of YouTube has watched Shane Dawson's 3-part docuseries on the entire thing.
God.
The last part was 42 minutes long. Like, people were taking breaks. BuzzFeed in California set the whole thing to when it came out so they could watch it. It's actually really good, considering that he likes Tana and he's still playing his role was objectiveness. That.
Yes,
anyway,
totally.
Objectives.
I just think people like to get wrapped up in drama.
I mean, well, this was big drama only because people came all over the country and far and wide to see a convention that didn't work. You had a bunch of angry parents. There were videos of parents screaming they want their refunds because the ticket itself was $65.
What a culture for kids now, too. Kids are begging their parents to go to YouTube conventions.
Is that a bad
Am I too old? I know it's not a bad thing, but am I like old?
You're not
Am I like
old.
disconnected from that?
you're not old and you're not disconnected. My mom feels the same way. She's like, why would you ever pay money to go see a YouTuber?
Like, I could totally understand if it was like Comic-Con comes to your town, like comes to Philadelphia. You come to Philadelphia to the convention, you get your bunch of buddies and you head out.
Yeah.
But like kids begging their parents to fly across the country or around, or just like maybe they probably didn't. In all reality, I could be exactly what I'm talking about right now, where kids and parents go to the convention for the day.
Yeah, no, some of these kids came from other countries. There's one girl, but she was a creator. She came.
I guess they were likely more coming from VidCon, just to decide to see what the drama was about.
Yeah, you should have gone. But she had your own thing. Like, I know one girl came from Germany. But she knew people here, so it wasn't just because of that.
Let's change gears, though. Positive stories.
Positive story. Like I said, Boogie gave me a shout out. I got to meet Rhett and Link. They are really tall. Like, Rhett's 6'7".
I've never seen them. They're really lanky looking. I didn't expect them to be that like tall, 6'7".
Yeah, and like I think Link's like a little over 6 feet. So that was fun. I met Flula. He's really awesome. All the YouTubers that I've watched over the years and fangirled over, I got to meet there, and it was awesome. And I'm pretty sure they're like this special girl in her wheelchair.
Did you get to meet any of the gaming greats like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye?
They were there, and I walked out of a party when they were showing up.
Oh,
I want to meet Markiplier because his voice is just so beautiful.
He really is also just like a beautiful human being.
He is
like,
just beautiful.
Just in general.
Yeah, I don't really know much about Jacksepticeye, but I do know.
Another beautiful Irishman.
Right, but I do know that I do like looking at Markiplier and looking at him and listening to him.
I was kind of maybe commenting on his character as a whole, but yes.
Oh, you were. Yeah,
But yes, also yes.
Yes.
I am firm enough in my masculinity to say that another man is very beautiful.
But he also, what makes him beautiful on the inside, like I know he does a lot of charity work and stuff for like children and things, and seems to genuinely love it.
Done a couple Extra Lives. You ever hear of them?
Yes.
Yeah, they're pretty. Those I've actually used to watch the Achievement. No, it wasn't Achievement. It was Rooster Teeth Extra Life.
Yeah.
Live stream, and I watched Mark's years ago.
So
They're still coming around every year.
Who?
The Extra Lives.
Yes.
I would hope so.
I think so. Yeah. I think it already passed. I'm not sure.
Achievement Hunter is usually in like November. They're later in the year for whatever reason.
Okay.
Not Achievement Hunter, Rooster Teeth, sorry.
Well, I don't know about Rooster Teeth.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a positive story. One positive story is that I got to meet almost everybody that I admire. I'm pretty sure they're like the special handicap girl in the wheelchair. But that's okay. Think whatever you think. What about you, Dan?
What's some pre-assumptions you're making yourself, Jess?
That's true, that's true. I need to stop that. Alright, what about you, Dan?
The positive stories really don't particularly end in this music festival because it started off even just from the very beginning. So, 12-hour ride, cruised it right through, no problems, easy. But cranked it out through the night, appeared on Wednesday morning. We had the day early passes so we can get camped up, set up, and comfortable. So when the festival's there, we don't have to walk near as far. It's a big festival, some 50,000 people. I think there may be less than that now because it's spread out amongst 2 weekends.
How many acres would you say of land?
I don't actually, see the thing is I don't know the measure of acre. I would say it was like a square mile and a half. It was a pretty large festival.
Let's do this. How many football fields?
All right, so how many football fields? Well, I would have to say that's the unit measure we all recognize. I have to say 15 or more square football fields.
Fuck. That's pretty big.
So the festival itself isn't that large. The actual grounds aren't that large.
Right.
But the camping grounds surrounding it are massive.
The only thing I could equate to that really is when...
It's really like, it's honestly, the best way to describe it is a Penn State tailgate. It's about the same size.
Oh.
Yeah.
On all sides, though?
Yeah, like, no. I mean, like, the way it takes up that much of, like, the RVs and canned fields surrounding the stadium. It's not quite that big, but it's close.
So we're not counting Blue Band Stadium, right?
You mean Beaver?
No, Blue Band, Beaver, no, not...
Oh, you're talking about the soccer fields? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the tailgating stuff. You
Yeah,
know, in
yeah.
the back where the Blue Band practices? Where Dixon's Law Building is?
Yeah,
Their tailgate,
yeah.
it's all back there, too.
I was thinking more like the hills past Beaver Stadium. It fills up like about that size.
I know what you're
It's just not the same amount of topography. Either way, very large festival, ton of camping. If you get there early, you get a great spot, so you don't have to walk a mile to get to the festival.
Did you have to walk a mile?
No, that was the best part. We were like, so literally there's a set of vendors that you go through before you get to the gate. We're like within 70 yards of the vendors.
Oh, no, that's
So
good.
yeah, we were prime location.
Now, I have a question for you.
Yes?
When you do, so like, I don't know about you, but like, when I go to these kinds of events, I don't eat that much.
Well, actually, that was the thing.
I was wondering
we
if
went
you did too.
So we got there so early on Wednesday, even in the morning, because we wanted to go to Walmart to pick up extra food and cook the whole week through. That's what I did. I made bacon and eggs every morning.
Nothing wrong with bacon and eggs.
Nah, we really were eating about 2 meals a day. I was making a hefty bacon and eggs in the morning, and we were all splitting up to pick up food inside the festival at night.
Okay.
My number one favorite meal at 4 in the morning when it ends. When I'm walking back to the vendors, they had a cereal bar. Now, guess what? It is not just regular cereal. It is an ice cream sundae cereal bar.
No, that's beautiful.
It was absolutely the greatest thing because it was just like my favorite one was you get a scoop of Reese's Puffs, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, right?
Right.
Nice, good, delicious pastry. Scoop of vanilla. And then you go to the next side, a little bit of sprinkling of graham crackers. Believe it or not, dried cranberries. Yes.
This sounds like
a little fruity mix up there. Then the whipped cream chocolate sprinkles.
Jesus.
Absolutely the greatest sundae I've ever had. And the problem with it is there is either ice cream cereal sundae or disappointment when it comes to ever eating cereal again.
Well, for us, we had quite a few vendors. As you know, vendors are like uber expensive.
Yeah.
So the only good one they had this, because I was in, the West Coast. There's a lot of Spanish culture out there. So there was a lot of Mexican and Spanish cuisine.
Like a lot of food trucks.
Food trucks, yeah. That's what I meant. And so one of them was this pizza thing. I've been seeing lines for it like the first couple days, wondering it can't be that good for a food truck. In fact, it was that good. That was probably the highlight of like food-wise. But I tell you the story because I was so angry. The line was long. There were like 15 people ahead of me and 1 million in the back. And this guy, I don't call him a guy, I don't call him a bitch. This bitch cut in front of me and stood there. And I don't know if he thought because I was in a chair he could take advantage of me, or the fact that I was staring at my phone and he thought I wouldn't notice. I'm going to try to be positive and think I was just staring at my phone and he didn't think I'd notice. I told him he cut. He looked at me like I had two heads. I told him he cut again. The other person behind me told me the same thing. And he's like, I. And he apologized under his breath. But we're like, get in the back of the line. Sorry, buddy. But yeah, that's another positive.
Yeah.
It's like I stood up for myself and had people backing me up.
So wild stories of the festival life. Just want to tell us one because it's funny. One of my buddies from Jersey, he was just a wild man the whole weekend. Like that was the funnest thing. Every year is always one person.
Funnest?
Yes, that's one of the funniest and funnest things. Every year is always one person who literally just disappears to become a wild man.
Yes.
Like you see them every now and again in camp, and all you hear the stories from everybody else. By the time they get back, they're literally a different person.
Yes.
So one of my favorite stories was he actually was able to sneak an entire air mattress into the festival. He just kept it deflated and walked it through security and then blew it up inside the festival so he could have somewhere to just camp out anywhere he went. He had a crew of like 4 or 5 people. I saw him in the library while I was hanging out. So it was also a library inside the festival in Electric Forest. I spent a lot of time there reading a lot of books and philosophy and things and such. Either way, while I was in there, there's also the most comfortable bathtub to sit in the world because it's full of pillows. And it's behind a piano. And so he came with the air mattress and like 8 people. They stocked up and they were there for hours just chilling, laughing. I thought it was the funniest thing.
Did you go sit on the bed with them?
No, I just let him do his thing because I had the whole weekend I was kind of more of an observer and I really loved it.
You were in your bathtub.
I was in my bathtub when I had my time. The failure, however, was I told everyone about the bathtub. The bathtub was a nice little secret.
So next year when you find a bathtub, if it's in a different spot, don't tell
anyone. It's
going
to be in the library. It was last year. It'll be there. It was there this year. It's gonna be in the library every time.
Well, maybe you just hope they forget or pick a new spot.
Oh yeah. People don't recognize or remember the bathtub. It's one of the reasons why I loved it. It's one of the best little places. You're in a forest in a bathtub full of pillows next to a piano. People can play for you.
That's pretty. Well, I'll tell you the one crazy story about. It's not too crazy, but I'm not going to mention names just because they didn't give me permission to mention their name. So me and a particular YouTuber whom I really like, we got super drunk. And we were so drunk that when we were like talking about how much we admired each other's work, we were practically screaming at each other. And people were looking at us like we were nuts because they didn't know if we were mad or not, because but we were laughing. So either they thought we were psychotic or there's no way they're, mad.
Your work is amazing. I love what you do. You're a beautiful human. Something like that?
Yeah, it was like, I love your videos. He's like, I loved your wheelchair video. And we're screaming this back and forth. There was no reason for it other than us being intoxicated.
Fangirling intensifies.
Yes, he's like, you want another drink? And I'm like, I can't. I still have to zigzag my way back to my room.
Can't be caught with a DUI in a chair.
Yes. So that was, and my friend was in the corner. They just had their head down like that. And the other two YouTubers' wife was just like this. And it was fun. That's my craziest YouTube story. Is that there was one other, but it's more throwing shade, but I'm not about throwing shade today.
I've got more beautiful stories though. The one thing that really touched my heart about Forrest is it happens every year. There's always somebody that I'll meet when I'm wandering alone, and they're wandering alone, and we literally just become brothers instantly. So it was me. It was Thursday night. I was just still too feeling the vibes, still too hyped to sleep. So I was just kind of wandering the camps, seeing who's around. There's also some parties that my buddies wanted to go to. I would just skip them. I was like, it's 2 a.m, dude. We're done. We've been doing this all day. So, starting to take a walk around, enjoying the night air, and right as I'm leaving this party, me and this dude just kind of crossed paths. We just talked for a minute. He just kind of seemed upset. So what's troubling you, friend? Turns out he's from.
Did you actually say what's troubling you, friend?
Yeah, I do. I do that actually, Jess. But he and I just kind of BS the way through, and I was like, yeah, you're just fine, man. Acceptance, stuff like that. It was kind of he's a kid from Detroit area, and he was telling me some stories about how it's just kind of rough. Even when we walked past some of the Michigan State troopers, he put a fist in the air. I don't actually know what the symbol means, and I asked him about it, and I asked him innocently. I'm like, so why'd you do that? He's like, I don't really know. I was like, yeah. And maybe
so why would you do it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I was trying to kind of pick at his mind a little bit. I was like, I'm actually kind of more curious as to what it means, and he wasn't really able to tell. And I was like, huh? Do you think that maybe perhaps it's kind of what's it called? Kind of coming at the cops a little bit. And he just kind of like, yeah, maybe it's not really the right way to think. And I kind of just changed his mind. From then on, he was just blissfully happy that I accepted him and taught him such a lesson. I mean, it was more than that. There was a lot more conversation, but that was just one of the moments. I'm sorry.
You're tooting your own horn, buddy.
He gave me the warmest hug I've ever felt. He was just a happy man. I felt so happy about it.
But are you mean to tell me you're going to sit here and say you were the I'm going to do a Kanye West on you. You ain't got the answers. Anyway.
I don't have the answers. I'm just a person.
But you mean to tell me that while you're talking to him, he is now a better and happier person?
You don't understand. He didn't want to leave my side. He didn't want to leave my side the whole night, and I brought him to my camp. My friends loved him. He was happy there, too.
He sounds like he needed a friend.
Yeah, and he got one.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, okay. How old was this individual, you'd say?
I think he told me he was 20, so I was 23, he was 20. So a younger kid.
He's not that young.
No, but still.
He probably had a lot going on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's 20 years old is not exactly a very stable time.
26 isn't stable time.
I think 20 is a little bit more tipping the scale.
He's 20.
Yeah, true enough.
But I'm glad you were able to be there for him, tooting your own horn or not.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn. It was more just along the lines of I was kind of just happy to have a nice conversation. The fact that he was so moved by it moved me.
Well, it's just that the way you spoke was like you had the Holy Grail, all the answers to why this gentleman
I just told you I asked him a question and he didn't understand it either. So we both kind of laughed at the fact that we didn't know what we were talking about.
You laughed at the fact that you didn't know what you were talking about.
He didn't know why he did it, and I didn't know what it meant. So the two of us just kind of met in the middle, and we're like, "Huh,
no
we're
offense.
idiots."
That's a whole new line of stupidity that you both.
That was the whole weekend, Jazz, with the magnet board. So they had the refrigerator magnets. So you have full of words. When you're little kids, you can make little sentences and goofy stuff like that. They had those. The forest. It was just something simple. So me and my best friend me and my best friend's now fiance, they proposed at the forest, and I have video of it. It was beautiful. I have all their photos. Anyways. Her and I were just
Would you like to do a shameless plug while you're at it, where these fine listeners can find these beautiful pictures? They're not
out yet. They're not going to be out for a little bit because I'm refining them. I'm trying to make a video for my friends, so that's just a whole... I'm not even going to do the shameless plug. It's not even done yet.
I mean, no shade, no shade. The pictures that I saw on Instagram and you let me see are pretty cool.
Thank you, Jazz. My Instagram is also called Renfisht, Renfisht.
That makes no sense.
Well, all right, that's another story for another day, why I have that name. But either way, her and I with the refrigerator magnets were just making the dumbest things. I had her on the ground rolling because of slum, chum, rump. Just the 3 words together attached to any sentence made her laugh. So she was
this was a female.
Yes, my best friend's fiance.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the guy that you healed.
No, not him. That story's over. New story.
Oh.
New story. Talking about how we're all idiots and how we realized that we were idiots in the worst ways. Before she had been laughing about all that, I had some other friends that I'd never met before, and we were making other sentences that were just gibberish. So we're all just, like, the funniest part was, it didn't matter what was said. We were just giggling at just the noises. So then I looked at all 3 of us, and I was like, we're fucking idiots. How much money did we spend to come out here to play with refrigerator magnets? And we're all pissing ourselves. And it was just another one of those beautiful moments because it's just the stupid things that people tend to vibe on in the funniest ways, and I just absolutely adore it.
How much money does a person spend on a ticket?
Too much. I'm gonna say that.
Well,
and leave it at that, yes.
So here's a question. Is there like a VIP section? Like, is there anything?
Yes, there are different tiers. Now, before I get into the tiers, I'm gonna check recording.
Okay.
And we're back talking about festival tickets for Electric Forest, the different tiers. So yes, there are different tiers of tickets. It goes from general admission to Maple Woods, where you actually get a small section of the forest to camp out in.
You get a small section
of the forest. Yes, you get a section of the forest to camp out in with other people who paid for Maple Woods. There is also RV camping, group camping. There is what's called Good Life, which is basically VIP because it had the tents and everything built for you, and they have cabins.
Which one did you have?
I had general admission because I don't think I want any of the other higher tiers, for the reason being that in general admission you can wander the camps like a tailgate at Penn State.
Well, can't you wander the camps with the higher tier?
Yeah, but there's not even close to near as many camps. I actually really appreciate the experience of a broad range of people rather than just those with enough money to pay for a more comfortable setting.
Well, I mean,
it's not necessarily against any of those people because they're just as beautiful as the rest of the festival.
I
just kind of find the number of people to be more entertaining to me.
See, I would want my own little cabin, and it has nothing to do with money being...
am I interested in Maple Woods camping? Absolutely, because having a little bit more space for camp and trees to be in the shade all day would be absolutely beautiful. But, personally, I just love the fact that I can wander GA and then wander... Actually, no, that doesn't make any sense then.
No, it doesn't.
No, because if I had my own camp, then I could just wander GA anyway. I'm thinking about this all wrong.
You really are. I'm sitting here like just waiting for you to make some damn sense.
As per usual, I'm reminding myself that I'm an idiot. But either way.
You're not an idiot. You're just a little special.
Aren't we all a little special, Jazz?
Yes.
A little special? You said it, not me.
Yeah, but then you get the hammer. Jerk face. Jerk face. All right, we have 2 more topics that we need to get to. I'm going to cut you off, not because this isn't interesting, but we will spend the entire time...
We're talking about tickets to a festival. I'm sure it's riveting.
It is riveting. I mean, that was the whole point of Tanacon. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. All right, so we have 2 more topics. We may not get to one, but the one I really wanted to talk about was graduation versus dropping out. We both went to Penn State. He finished, I did not. So I want us to have a little banter, if you will, about Are you happy you graduated? Do you think you wasted your time? And then I'm going to go on my point of view, and maybe we'll agree.
Well, I'm going to start off personally with what I see as our position. I don't believe myself to be the most model student, but I do say I got good grades. And Jazz, obviously, not the model student either. So I wouldn't consider either, because she dropped out. I wouldn't consider either
Hey, I
of
got
us.
very good grades.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. I also got good grades, but I graduated a semester late. So,
Yeah, right.
like I said, not 100% model student, starting
Right.
from there. And so from there, I will say, I'm pretty happy I pushed the whole way through.
But didn't you change your major like once?
I changed my major. I actually had 3 different majors in college, all changing within the first 2 years.
I mean,
By the third year, by my junior year, I was set in stone. I was ready to go.
well, that's quite an accomplishment. The fact that you didn't know what you wanted to do.
I also went on 2 broad ends of the spectrum. I went from sciences and chemistry and physics, and for food science and engineering, mechanical engineering.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, engineering is the true destroyer of the soul.
And
So those didn't work out, and I found my passion a little bit more in camera work because I'd done some TV crew things back in middle school, and a little bit of recording and stuff like that in high school. And by the time I really thought about it, it was my junior year, and I had chosen to do film. So the film program was a certain amount of semesters that I should have already started. I was lucky enough to only get 1 semester off and not the whole year, and
That's
I
good.
think I killed it throughout all of my film schooling. I honestly have no regrets. I really loved it. Penn State's film program is awesome. The people were absolutely the best part of it. The professors were amazing and hilarious.
some of them were.
Yeah, it's just every professor at every college. But if you ask me, I honestly didn't really find too many professors that were that far off, that far off from being like good professors.
Okay.
They weren't lazy. They were driven. You know, I had a lot of very attentive and driven professors. You were telecom, weren't you?
So here's the difference between. This is my opinion.
I'm talking about film, not telecom.
There's telecom, right? But then there are 3 tracks within telecom. So the only difference between his major and my major is that you guys got the better equipment.
Yeah, we
than
had
did.
the more fun. We got more access to more fun toys.
But other than that, there's really no difference. I've talked to several people who graduated and said you can either do a degree in film or a degree in television and everything, and it's almost the same. It's an after that.
I was even teaching some of the telecom students about the studio equipment, so it
There
was.
you
It was
go
really
with your-
I was literally everywhere in both majors.
No one likes a humble bragger.
Wasn't about bragging, Jazz. Well,
said
it was kind of
humble.
a little bit. I was
Okay.
proud of myself. I like the toys and the stuff that I learned.
So here's the thing. You said you're happy you graduated.
Mhm.
It's not that I'm not. I was in a bad place. Now, there are multiple reasons why I didn't finish. One, at the time, I had fallen into a deep depression. But at the same time, before I even fell into depression, I didn't like school. I've never liked school, like the learning aspect. I love the social events, but it's taken me a while to realize the reason why I don't like it is because it is so difficult for me to learn certain things, like reading comprehension. Because I got a later start in life, I didn't really get the proper education until I was like 8 or 9 years old. And I'm not saying you can't recover from that, but I've always played catch up. Like, I'm always playing catch up when it comes to school. And it got to the point where I hated it. Hated it in high school, hated it in college. And I just felt like I could be doing something better with my life than feeling miserable. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt miserable. I felt stupid. I felt like whenever I finally figured something out, I'd tap like my classmate next to me and they'd be like, well, we had that figured out like hours ago. And it has nothing to do with like they're dumb and they're smart and I'm dumb. It just has to do with the fact that I'm a lot slower when it comes to academic things. That's why I like them, because film is about technique. It's about what you consider art, and it's also about knowing a shit ton of arbitrary facts about film and stuff from the past.
AKA psychology, Jazz. You want to insult my major a little bit more?
What'd you say?
I said AKA possibly psychology.
Well, I mean,
of something,
obviously,
Jazz.
there's psychology because you gotta know how to move people. So you have to know the psychology behind moving an audience.
I honestly see filmmaking as a really, really important thing to know, especially in the modern age right now. To be honest, this is not tooting my own horn. This is not me bragging about my major. This is me saying that. It is more me talking about the fact that it's just good to be aware. It's a matter of there's a lot of things that you can do in filmmaking that you wouldn't notice unless you do it, unless you film, unless you record. Like the whole process, it's funny how when you start to actually study film for long enough, the screen starts to open up behind it because then you see the studio around it. You start to understand where everything's set up in places and things and such. So when it comes to that much work and effort, it's something you don't notice otherwise, and then it starts to span in many other places like broadcast and sports media and like how they cut between things. Like you start to see the psychology of images. I honestly think it's like really, really important in the modern day to know it because then you can start to understand the things that people are trying to say a little bit better.
I mean, I don't know about you, but now, I mean, I don't have the degree, but I've gotten enough information that, like, my last year was going to be gen eds, so I essentially got the telecom, like, the TV portion, if that makes sense. Ever watch TV now, like a sporting event or something like that, and you see a graphic that's not in the right place, or like a weird camera switch, and you're just like, who the hell did that, and can they be fired?
I play a little game with myself every time I watch sports broadcasts now.
Yes.
I try to, in my head, be the director and the TD at the same time. Because it's funny, because like sometimes it's funny when I hit it right on the mark, I'm like, ready, one? Take one, and it switches.
Exactly, too.
And I'm just like, all right, ready, four, take four,
No
ready,
one
slash.
gonna...
And I'm just like, it's funny how you start to see the actual pattern in broadcast after working it. It's
great.
psychotic. It's amazing, but it's psychotic in a way.
It's miserable in a way because then you can't enjoy it anymore. And then if you talk out loud like I do, your family wants to shoot you. So, you know. But, yeah.
I guess that requires a certain level of willpower then, Jazz.
But, like, back to the subject, he's happy that he graduated. I personally don't care. Do I want to go back? Maybe one day. But school is just so stressful. It's one of the main things. Every time I've gone, I've fallen into a major depression afterwards and during.
I think perhaps you just need to train your mind a little harder towards learning. 'Cause learning is a very, very long and arduous process to be properly comfortable with. I mean, it's one of the reasons why religion and philosophy don't work properly because people don't read.
It's just I don't. And that's how Trump got in office. Because people don't read.
That's politics.
Sorry.
We don't bring that here.
Sorry. We don't.
Only positive things here, Jazz.
I like that. Only positive things.
Yeah.
Because that is not positive. Moving back. Maybe you're right. Maybe I need to do a better job. And some people just say you're lazy. You just need to apply yourself. But no, when there are times where I feel so discouraged that I start crying and I don't want to leave my house.
I think actually the term apply yourself is the most proper way to describe it. It's not about applying yourself to what you can do. It's applying yourself to what you want to know. What do you not know that you want to know? And literally just seek it out. We have the internet now, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier.
I mean, I wanted to know, and then I would get upset because I couldn't understand why I didn't know, and I try, and then I just said, fuck it.
And that's where the mental process comes in, when you got to learn where your mind has those gaps, and then you start to learn for learning. You know what I mean?
But you know what? Now that I have like my own business and I'm doing this, essentially this is a lot harder than going to class and getting good grades. But I'd rather do this any day than go to school. I'd rather sit here and crack the numbers and file taxes than go back to school.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I know that sounds weird.
I guess in that case we should really be talking to somebody who didn't go to college at all, because then somebody who just jumped into the workforce. Because that's honestly something that I see in a lot of my friends. I'm one of actually few that went to college in my group of friends, and it's kind of interesting to see because they're already happy and moving out and set out in their lives, but I'm set back a few extra years because I decided to pick something I wanted to learn. The only thing is I see that I have a little bit more of internal enrichment. There's a little bit. It's not an intelligence thing. It's more along the lines of I just kind of feel a little bit more comfortable in my position. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm happy to have the knowledge, but you really can't really tell.
And how do you know that they're not happy with where they are either?
Oh, I know that they are, is what I'm saying. I'm saying that we're both happy in different positions.
But you don't know what they could be the same amount of happy in the same position, but they don't know what you know, so that's why they're happy.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's like also a little bit more chaotic to just jump into work right out of high school.
I think it'd be great.
However, if going to college is also a luxury, so you can't really deny that.
Right.
Because not everybody can make it to college. That's the thing. Not everybody has the money or the family that can get them there.
And I'm gonna be honest, I like money. I don't like giving away money, and I'm paying loans and everything. I want my money. That's another reason why I like working, because you're not delayed when it comes to money making. So like, that's just my honest opinion. If I go back one day, awesome, and if I don't and can sustain a living, but then also it's not guaranteed. I had a friend, she worked in Walmart for 8 years and she has a PhD, but she's considered overqualified. So not only are you working in Walmart, not only do you have the means to be like awesome in your field, but you...
Some people choose a different placement in life, Jazz.
I mean, I'm not...
Because honestly, you could go down that... I could have gone for a PhD and still be in college another 3 years, come out, realize that all that knowledge is useful to me in no way for a job, but in many other ways, because I searched it out, and then go home to find a simple job just to live the rest of my life as is.
But she doesn't want that. She wants a job.
Then it seems to me that she's not seeking hard enough for the job she wants.
How do you know?
Because you have to start somewhere, and not everybody starts out of college. So thusly, you're already a few steps ahead, especially if you have a PhD. So thusly, therefore you can either go to your college or other alumni of your college for help.
Yeah, but they're telling
you can pass out to the smaller places, smaller practices or whatever your PhD is in.
Well, society tells you you need all these degrees. Jobs tell you you are overqualified. I mean, I know there's been times, like when you look up a job, I've seen you get annoyed when they want like 6 years of experience, and you have that. You just don't have the years behind your name. How often does that piss you off? A lot.
Pretty often, yeah, especially in this industry. For
Exactly.
The reason being, however, I actually can agree with them to one degree or another, because I wouldn't personally hire everybody I meet at a telecom or film directly out of film school for a high level project.
Yeah, but
like
also,
honestly, the 3 to 5 years is usually involving a studio and a lot of money, and that's one of those things where I don't even want people to touch the camera that we're recording on right now.
I can't.
So if you imagine trying to hire somebody straight out of Penn State and ask them to hold a camera worth 10 times that. You know what I mean?
I mean, I get it.
You need the practice and experience to be able to properly work.
But then you need, maybe you should have more job training
opportunities
within the job.
So when I think about that, I think more about education reform.
Right.
I think that honestly, high school should end a couple years later, and the last 2 years should be like life knowledge, like how to apply for loans, how to balance taxes, massive taxes and accounting. I'm talking, but also,
but I agree.
However, the 2 years could also be voc tech. You could be doing technical jobs within your high school to do things that get you out there. I think that should be offered as an extra, as a secondary schooling extra. Within I guess I feel like it'd be interesting if it was a state-led secondary schooling, but within your own school. So you don't necessarily have to have it, because if you want to just jump into a job or a different college, you can just go right out. But otherwise, you can stay and use those extra 2 years to try and ground yourself. I think that's probably in my opinion, one of the better ways to do this education reform that is well overdue.
I agree. I mean, I don't know much about it. These are obviously just our opinions, but I do believe that the school system cannot be the way it still is. I think there are because there's technology now. And
technology is getting faster and faster. It's part of what I was saying earlier about with my film knowledge, that I'm kind of very appreciative of having my knowledge, because now I'm a little bit more aware of what people are doing behind the scenes without having to get some other type of information or footage. I can just look at a scene, I can look at something that people shot, and I can understand where it came from, have a better understanding of it as a whole. So I don't think the current education system is up to date. It's just not. We're just falling behind technologically, and we really need better tech classes. And
we need better everything, even though we're supposed to be the richer of the country.
Well, just because we make a lot of money doesn't mean we're very smart.
and that is proven that we're not. And we're going to take one last quick break. Oh, cool. I'm like, someone texted me, and I'm like, who the hell is that? And I know exactly who it is. Anyway, yes, we are back. All right, our last topic for the day is
Wooks and what I call sheep culture.
Now,
However,
I don't know.
I know you don't know what it means. I'm currently searching very hard for Urban Dictionary's definition of the word wook.
Now, do you think I'll be able to base an educated thing afterwards? Like, am I going to be able to...
I just think it's going to make you laugh a little bit and make you think about Festival Life people. Here you go. Just give that one let's give that one a read. Here, actually, you know what?
Why don't you read it?
I will read it.
This is why I didn't graduate.
Wook, noun or adjective. A dirty, hairy, stinky, malnourished, dishonest creature that often travels in packs with possibly and unfortunately mangy, multicolored dogs on handmade, all-natural, organic hemp leashes or alone wandering aimlessly around a concert, usually hippie music, quote-unquote, parking lot with a few seemingly more important than the music goals. Find as many mind-altering substances and cram them into their bodies as fast and furiously as possible. Get into the show somehow. Don't lose the dog this time, and if by chance they come across unattended property, such as a cooler, chair, backpack, or a beverage, it will then become their own. Also, once inside the show and the music begins, even if it sucks, a true wook will never be able to tell the difference, because once the substances take effect, many of them can actually be seen dancing and grooving to music that only they can hear. Wooks are only useful in one way. If you are trying to warn or scare a younger, more easily influenced friend about the dangers of drugs, just tell them to observe and study the behaviors of wooks in their natural surroundings. But warn them that if they get too close, they may risk becoming one themselves.
This sounds like every episode of Scooby-Doo.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, you really believe that the Mystery Machine was on that many drugs?
Yes. I truly do. But that's a different topic for a different day.
Now, the only reason why I called this topic wooks and sheep culture is because I kind of use the term wook for people who kind of follow the general status flow, but wook's a little bit more derogatory. So, I guess the better word would be like the sheep, what I call a sheep culture. The fact that people kind of just emulate each other, and that gives them comfort to emulate each other, to just stay together and not really break any other outside ideas. It's only because, particularly in a friend of mine that I won't name names, who has literally come down to the point where should I even bring this here? I should bring this here. It's literally come down to the point where he's just full of references. Like, he doesn't necessarily talk. He kind of just jumps on references because they're funny and everyone will react to them.
Oh.
He's a good kid. He's a very well-mannered kid, and he does a lot of crazy little nerdy things. And he's one of my best friends. But it makes me sad when we have full conversations. When me and all of his friends, or our collective friends, I should say, are having a conversation online, just talking about whatever. I usually get too deep. I tell them to tell me to shut up when I get too philosophical, because I do, and they do. But they do kind of banter with me. We have a conversation. We try to go higher, step it up, research things, and tell it. A whole deal.
All while you're playing video games.
Yeah, while we're playing video games, I'm usually editing or something like that. We're all on the computer using Discord, and my buddy just doesn't bring any knowledge to the table. He just kind of like jumps on something that sounds like either an innuendo or reference to something we've all seen, or a meme of some kind. And it just kind of makes me sad. And then what makes me even sadder is to think about the fact that he's not the only one. There's a whole entire culture now of people who just repeat the same things over and over because we repeated them over and over, and that they're funny because we repeated them. So it doesn't really end up creating any information.
So it's no longer funny.
Yeah, it's really almost, if anything, it's more like a meme culture this topic's basically more of a meme culture thing. I just kind of attracted wooks to it because there's also a similar problem with festivals where people just literally become wooks, where they just don't really come for the music, they come for the party, and it just derails. Well, it does upset me because in a festival like Forest, it's a very lovey-dovey, happy friendship, companionship festival, and yet when you come there just to party, it just kind of waters down the whole experience for everyone, including yourself.
It kind of.
So it's to me, it's just kind of a disappointment in society, I guess, that I'm just kind of making at, but. I really just also wanted to laugh more at the fact that Urban Dictionary definition exists, because that one's an experience.
Well, I mean, I guess you could equate this to VidCon, because
Yeah, because I also worry about that too in the YouTube community, in the sense that people are just kind of jumping on top of each other just because we did all the same things. So I kind of like it just worries me in a way, you know.
You don't know how many boys, not like teenagers, but actual children, boys, had their vlogging cameras and everything, which is fine, but they all dressed and looked the same. Like, one was emulating the other, and oh my god, I'm like, where's the originality? Like, it was skinny jeans.
It's not even just entirely about originality either. It's just along the lines of, like, I don't know. I just don't feel the need to look the same as anyone else.
Neither do I.
I just don't feel the need to try
I don't
and
have that choice, but
yeah, like so because we're you know, healthy, mature adults, and we're aware of ourselves in a sense. Mature enough.
So, but here's the thing. I want you to let me finish. So they were wearing skinny jeans, oversized shirts. All of them, for some reason, had white sneakers, and everyone had like a buzz cut in the back, and all this hair in the front, and all of it was either like spiked up a little, or like they all kept doing this thing where they
it's like the
moved
it's like the 20-year-old Justin Bieber look.
Yeah, they kept like, you know, moving it to the side, and they thought that made them look cool and everything. Now, like, some of them had like blonde highlights, purple highlights, but it doesn't matter the highlights. They all still looked the same, and it scared me. I'm like, who are you trying to emulate? Number one, and number two, who was the first one to do it?
That's really that's what I was about to ask. The same question. It's like, so where does fashion come from? Because by nature of our culture, that is likely coming from wherever fashion comes from in our culture.
Right.
So what questions me is why is that fashion?
So like the boys had that, and then a lot of the girls. A lot of, like, you could tell what person liked what YouTuber depending on what they were wearing. And it has nothing to do with the merch that they may or may not sell. It had to do with how the YouTuber
it's like they want
admired.
to be originally emulating somebody.
Even though they're not. They all thought they were original, but in essence, they were all wearing the same thing. Maybe different colors, but everything was, you know, black pants, some kind of, you know, capris, a belly shirt, and like an abundance of makeup that's just caked on.
I never understand that, man. That type of vanity. Just that's another one of those topics I love to talk about with anybody in general. It's just the idea of vanity. Just the fact that just the idea of what we look like has such importance to us. Like it just seems weird to me because, to be honest, we're all human. You should probably understand that we're all equally different.
I had a teacher.
Well, equally and unequally different, but we're all different just in general, in just a sense. And so, thusly, what would trying to be the same exact as anyone else do for you?
Well, like, I had a teacher in 10th grade, English teacher, tell us. Now, also, this woman also had to take a sabbatical because of her addiction to pain medication. But right, so keep in mind what I'm about to say, but know that the woman had issues. She used to scream from the comments of CVS before class started.
Okay.
She told us that the way we look at ourselves is not how other people look at us. So apparently, what I see in you is not what you see in yourself when you look in a mirror.
Yeah, it's about right. Because that's one of the reasons why vanity really is bizarre to me, because of that disconnect. Like, it just seems I don't know what the mirror becomes in that case. Does the mirror become the person that you emulate so heavily, or does the mirror reflect back on yourself? Like I don't think that looking in the mirror really gives you like your version of yourself is always going to be different from that vision, always, forever. And the more you try to emulate, the more you kind of lose it.
Right.
So then you start to, like, I don't know. I don't really have like an answer for that one particularly, but it's just one of those things I think about. It's just kind of odd to me to really be so you know, engrossed in vanity.
Now here's the other thing, like when we go back to sheep kind of thing. Not that I'm not grateful, because I am so happy that Bookie is helping me out. But all he had to say was, go say hi to Jazz. And within minutes, I had people following me and everything else. The point is, even though I'm grateful, it makes you think the power that he has, if we're looking at it in a sheep kind of way.
And that's where it kind of...
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not being ungrateful,
No,
and I
no.
am not calling anyone a sheep. It's just the magnitude.
It has the power to be positive and the power to be negative.
Right.
It has both senses. This is the reason why I actually even named this topic Wooks and Sheep Culture, because Wooks are also most commonly referred to as fans of the artist Bass Nectar. Now, I am not going to take anything away from Bass
From
Nectar.
what?
Bass Nectar, the fans of Bass Nectar.
What is bass?
Wook. Bass Nectar is a DJ who's been around for, I don't even know how many years now, probably close to 8 or more. About 8 years ago was about when he started appearing. I didn't notice him until like his second or third year in, so like 2011, 2012 time.
Right.
But he was even pretty large back then, but he's just been growing ever since. And in the past few years, he really just spiked up in popularity. And I think it's because a lot of DJs nowadays, I don't really... They make good music. They can make good beats. They can make good rhythms and stuff like that. But now I think in festivals with as much bass as there is and stuff like that, they're trying to sell an experience more than they're selling the music anymore.
Well,
And that's kind of the reason why it's this topic in my brain in general at all, because people... Wooks actually literally genuinely frighten me, because then I'm reminded deeply that these people don't live here. They don't live in this bizarre little dreamland of festivals and love and their own little world of drugs and whatever. And I worry about it, because then from there they have to go back into the rest of the world. And I just wondered to myself, I'm like, so...
What are you getting at?
It's just such beautiful people, and I don't think they're really bringing their own beauty out. Instead, they're selling it for an experience.
So
That's
you're
what
mad
I
that
honestly worry about. I worry that they sell away so much of their lives just to go experience something that they think they don't in their everyday lives. And it kind of just worries me in the sense that also waters down the rest of the population, because they're as much a part of the population as we are. They're as much an influence as we are. You know what I mean?
So you're mad that people are going there.
I'm not mad. I'm more disappointed.
Disappointed that they're not going there to enjoy the music. More like a status symbol to say that they went without full.
Not a status symbol. It's like I said, it's an experience now. Bass Hunter has been to a couple of shows, and he does a very good job at drawing emotions that you don't normally feel. Deep emotions, deep senses of happiness and other things. He draws those out in his music and in his performance. And I'm not going to take anything away and say he's not a beautiful performer and DJ. He's really, really talented. It just kind of worries me that the type of music he's putting out may not be doing good things to the people.
But it's his money.
I don't know if it's not just his fault, but is it his fault or is it the coach's fault? And that's where the question kind of draws.
If he's trying to make money and stay relevant, it's not, I wouldn't call it his fault. It's his duty to give in to the culture if that's what he so chooses.
True.
For money or whatever his personal gain is.
And to be honest, I wouldn't tell him to do anything else. I guess I'm just more worried about the culture. I just worry that the festival culture is getting kind of watered down by the party life, because now more and more promoters are calling, 3 DJs in a garage a festival. You know what I mean?
That's a hookup.
Yeah, I know. It's I wouldn't really necessarily call a lot of the shows.
That's a Google Hangout meetup.
I wouldn't call a lot of the shows I've been to that degree, but I would say that there are some things that they are calling festivals. They're not really festive. They're not celebrating anything. They're just bringing a bunch of DJs together for music.
So then just say that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Just call it like a concert.
But either way, it's just a matter. It's just a matter of the fact that it's happening, and it's starting to kind of change the way people see the music now. Me and my brother go back and forth a lot about how different types of rhythm and frequencies actually bring out different parts in people. So we're currently dabbling with the thought that perhaps deep bass tones, low frequencies are bringing out the dark and lower sides of people instead of the happier and brighter sides. But that's just a theory.
Not necessarily. I talked to this girl on the bus at Penn State. That was her degree. That's what she was getting a degree in. Sounds.
Was it sound or was it music?
Sounds. Music and sound. All types of sounds. So if I knew her name, you could connect with her. She would probably validate a lot
Tell
of
the story, though. I'm curious.
Thoughts. That was basically it. She just said she studied that kind of thing. She didn't really give me any statistics because I wouldn't know what she was talking about. But I think you'd find someone like that interesting. So check it, not get it, unless you want a degree.
I'll do more research on sound then.
So last thing I kind of want to do, this is a spur of the moment kind of thing. We just said that what we look like to each other to ourselves is not what we look like in real life.
Okay.
I want you and I to describe each other. I don't care. He's laughing because we're talking about faces. I will not
Faces, okay.
Why, what were you going to say? Your whole body?
I mean, if you wanted to, because I could also see myself as, like I just wrote, hairy, mangy,
fine, let's do the whole body.
Individual.
Let's do the whole body.
Well, no, I was more joking about it. Honestly, I don't know if I want that, because that's another reason why I think about looks a lot, because I want to be aware to not be one.
The worst you can... We're just saying I'm fat. That's about it.
No, I'm saying... But
you have to describe me. You have to describe you. And then we have to tell each other, is that what we see when we look in the mirror?
I think that's kind of a really, really deeper kind of conversation. I don't know if I would be able to properly answer that.
No, I'm not asking you to explain it. You're going to describe my face. And I'm going to tell you yes or no if that's what I see in the mirror. And we'll leave it like that.
I wouldn't really know. You know what's funny? I wouldn't really know where to go because I don't really know how to describe with faces.
Okay. All right. If you had to describe... All right, we'll start with my eyes. What do you think about them? Are they big? Are they squinty? What do you see? And I'll tell you what I see. And we'll just move on from there.
I kind of think that they're, to no offense to you, a bit in the similar sense of... like a goldfish, because they're kind of wide and outward.
They're wide?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been made fun of for my eyes my entire life. So, I think they're kind of big. What about the color of my actual?
I don't actually see your pupils. They're really, really dark.
Neither do I.
Wow.
So, we agree on that.
Yeah.
Alright, so, my nose.
Real wide. Kind of like... for whatever reason, I get the idea of Peter Griffin. I don't know why. That doesn't make any sense because his nose doesn't look funny, but it's just kind of wide in that similar sense.
My nose is funny looking to you? No, I'm kidding. Fine.
I would hope I'm funny looking.
Alright, I see wide. Alright, and we'll just go my mouth and we'll go from there. I'll do it to you.
I guess again, wide. You kind of do have like a whole wider physique on your face. Like I mean, in my face particularly, I feel like mine's real skinny just because of my dad's fat head. I call it the raptor head. Ready?
Yes.
Skinny, flat, long, huge, like a fish.
Oh wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of
the
opposite. Your head's a lot more round.
And
your face is a lot more round.
And bigger.
I wouldn't call it bigger because I'm a big dude. Your face isn't really big. It's more just along the lines of just proportionally
wide.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. So to me, don't do that. Your eyes are kind of sunken in. To me, and you always look tired, eyes-wise.
Yeah, so I've had bags under my eyes for a very large amount of life. Not only is it hereditary from my grandfather, which also is from my mother, but it's just from a matter of a lot of late nights and a lot of lack of sleep.
I see a lot of exhaustion in your eyes, and they're kind of sunken in. Is that what you see?
Yeah,
okay.
That's about right.
Your nose is thin. Obviously, it's not the thinnest white nose I've seen. That's the thing they make fun of, the black people have wider noses.
White noses.
Yeah, than black. Yours is a little wider for a white person. I don't know. How do you see your nose?
I really don't know.
And it's kind of pointy.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. But what was funny story about the nose, my sister had a whole weird jealousy of me as a kid because she was pissed at my mom when she was real little. So I'm a family of 3 brothers and a sister, so it's 4 of us. She was the only one, so when I was the youngest to be born, she wanted me to be a girl so that, she wouldn't be alone. And she was, as a little kid, pissed at my mom for the longest time that I was a boy. So one of the things that she did talk to me about that she said she was jealous about, especially in high school when she had a little bit more of her own issues, she was jealous of my nose. She hated her own nose and loved mine. I was like her little Barbie doll as a kid.
But here's the thing.
A little kid when I was like a little baby.
The thing that kind of makes me laugh that your sister feels that way is you show me a picture of all your siblings standing side by side. You all have the same facial features. So like you have her nose, she has the nose that she's envying.
It's also funny, like her and I got the most of my dad's genes, while my other 2 brothers got the most of my mom's.
Really?
Yes, actually. Like she and I look the most like my. I wouldn't think my sister looks that much like my dad, but definitely out of the 4 of us, her and I look the most like Dad.
Similar, right?
Yeah.
So I just think I'm like, not you guys are a good.
I also minded wise. I think it's more like we're also my father minded versus my mother minded.
Physically, so like I can't really talk about your lips because they're we always say you had bigger lips for a white person than I thought, but they're not the biggest. As far as like your body, it looks average. It looks like you work out as far as your muscles, or like you lift.
Used to.
You kind of look Italian-ish.
That's about right.
And
a lot of Italian in my skin, in my blood.
Super hairy.
Yeah, that's also a lot of Eastern European and English in my blood.
Is that what you see?
Yes, well, that's what I know, because, so actually, it's funny enough, while I was in Budapest last year, my mom even texted me the original spelling of my last name from Slovakia and not Poland. I thought it was Polish the longest time. Turns out my family emigrated from Slovakia beforehand, so I'm a Slav. Somewhere on the lines. My last name is Slavic, therefore, but it's not spelled the same. Obviously they changed it when they moved to the U.S. because no one would know how to spell it or pronounce it.
Right. I mean, and I'm glad I asked you this because I've had certain relatives, cousins, who truly think they are slim, like really slim.
I say myself actually pretty fat, to be honest.
And I need
to fix that.
They're just not slim at all.
I think we do have pretty solid mental grounded images of ourselves.
You can say, all right, I personally think I'm fat.
Not really for your size. I mean, like it's just because of the fact that you're in a chair for most of the day.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot.
Look at his face. He's just like, I'm not gonna say yes. Oh no. It's fine. It's whatever. People tell me on YouTube.
Well, you have a whole completely different body build, and it's just not something that I could probably comment upon.
If you look at my x-rays, I look like the Michelin Man. It's kind of funny.
That is kind of funny.
And on that note, for Dan being politically correct and telling me that I'm not fat, good man. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this video or this podcast. Again, this will be up on Wednesday, and then the listening part will be up on Thursday. So, thank you for watching. Next week, we're going to talk about Podcast Movement, which is an event that we got invited to in our hometown. So, we're super stoked about that. So, be on the lookout for that. And if you want to sponsor us, that'd be great. Have a fantastic day.